It was supposed to be just another quiet afternoon at the local dojo. The kind of place where belts of every color trained together in harmony under the echo of punches, kicks, and the soft thud of feet gliding across mats. The regulars were used to the rhythm, stretching, drills, light sparring, and then home. But that day, something completely unexpected happens, something that would be talked about long after the mats had cooled. A young, confident black belt, barely in his 20s, tall and athletic, was chatting with a few others after class. His voice carried across the room, filled with the kind of youthful bravado that often comes with a new belt and a few successful sparring sessions. He noticed the janitor, middle-aged black man who had quietly swept and mopped around them for years. No one paid much attention to him. He was just the janitor, always polite, always quiet, never stepping on toes or getting in the way. But something about the way he moved, the way his eyes followed the action, made the black belt curious. Maybe it was ego, or maybe just boredom, but he called out to him, "Hey man, wanna spar?" Just for fun. A few people chuckled. Someone muttered, "He's kidding, right?" The janitor looked up slowly, rested his mop against the wall, and smiled. Not smugly, but kindly. He looked at the instructor, who nodded with an amused shrug. The janitor walked over to the mat without hesitation, kicked off his shoes, and tied up his loose work pants as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Sure," he said calmly, "just for fun." There was an awkward tension in the air, like everyone was in on a joke except the janitor. The black belt grinned, bowed, and took his stance. The janitor did the same, but his posture was different. It wasn't stiff or unsure like a beginner's. 'Twas fluid, grounded, coiled like a spring. The match began. Asterisk at first, the black belt. Threw a few easy jabs and a low kick, keeping it playful but slightly condescending. The janitor didn't flinch. He moved with a calm precision, barely stepping aside, not wasting a single motion. Then, with a suddenness that stunned everyone watching, he countered with a smooth pivot, slipped inside a punch, and tapped the black belt's ribs with a controlled strike so fast and clean it was barely visible. The room went silent. The black belt blinked, surprised. Maybe it was a fluke, he thought. So he picked up the pace. Faster jabs, a roundhouse kick aimed for the shoulder. The janitor blocked it with perfect form, then spun and lightly swept the black belt's back leg, not hard enough to hurt, just enough to drop him onto the mat with a soft thump. The silence turned into gasps. A few of the other students stood up. One pulled out a phone to record. The black belt got up quickly, his smile now gone, replaced with the kind of focused tension that comes when pride is on the line. He attacked again, this time with serious intent. But the janitor's expression never changed. He wasn't smug, wasn't angry, just focused. Every move he made was economical, efficient, almost beautiful in its simplicity. He wasn't fighting hard, he was dancing through the fight, like he'd done this 1,000 times before. Within moments, he had slipped past another flurry of strikes, gently tapped the black belt's shoulder, and stood behind him with perfect control. Another point, another pause. The black belt backed away, breathing hard, sweat forming on his brow. The janitor, in contrast, was calm, collected, barely winded. Then he stepped back, bowed again, and said, "That's enough. Thanks for the match." The instructor clapped slowly, breaking the stunned silence. "Where'd you learn that?" someone finally asked. The janitor smiled again, this time a little wistfully. "Used to compete," he said softly. "Golden gloves, some military training. Got a few stories, but these days I prefer quiet work." The black belt, to his credit, bowed deeply and shook his hand. "I had no idea," he said. "Respect." The others gathered around, questions flying. How long had he been training? Why didn't he say anything before? Did he teach? The janitor answered politely, but didn't brag. He just said he loved the art and didn't need recognition to keep practicing. He showed up to work, did his job, and quietly stayed sharp in his own way. What made the moment even more powerful was the humility he carried. He didn't embarrass the black belt. He didn't flaunt his skill. He simply reminded everyone without saying a word that you should never underestimate anyone. That greatness doesn't always wear a uniform or announce itself. Sometimes it wears coveralls and carries a mop. Word spread quickly. The video someone posted went viral overnight. Janitor destroys black belt was the headline on dozens of martial arts forums and reaction channels. But those who were there knew it wasn't about destruction, was about grace, discipline, and a subtle lesson in humility. In the days that followed, the janitor was asked to teach a weekly class. He politely declined. "I'm happy to help if someone asks," he said. "But I didn't do that to teach anyone a lesson. He asked me to spar, so I did." Still, people began greeting him differently. Students bowed to him in the hallway. He was offered free meals by local businesses who had heard the story. One day, a kid in a white belt ran up to him and said, "I want to move like you do." He chuckled, crouched down, and told the boy, "Start slow. Respect your teachers, and never think you know everything. Even I still learn every day." And just like that, he picked up his mop and went back to work, leaving behind not just a clean floor, but a room full of people who would never look at him or anyone else the same way again.